Master P.
What's going on, y'all?
Morning, sir.
Oh man, it's all good.
Let's start off with this energy drink you done put on our face. What's this new
S9
thing that you doing?
S9, no sugar, no calories. It's good, man. Y'all got to taste it. Give it a taste.
So what's
test.
in it if it don't have none of that?
Taste it. It's the best tasting in the drink in the country.
Pass me that Hennessy.
All right.
It do taste good.
You know, it ain't like the Red Bull or the other stuff. You know what I'm saying?
There's a lot of sugar.
Though.
That's cool. But, you know, a lot of athletes drinking this right now with the sports drink. So,
Sure.
you know, got nine different ingredients of vitamins in there.
No guilt.
Yep, none of that.
It tastes good. This would taste great with some.
I'm surprised they ain't got no sugar in it.
With
though.
some
I think
Hennessy.
that defeats the purpose to mix it with liquor, ye.
Yeah,
No, it
it's like
doesn't.
an upper and a downer.
What do you mean? It balances everything out.
Yeah, we're going to bring her some of that, since she won't mix it with
There's limit 3 cans per day, so just be careful with that. But yeah, it tastes good.
Now listen, I saw a huge announcement that you have a new star
Yeah.
in your movie that you
Yep,
have coming out, your
yep.
biopic, and it's our very own Charlemagne.
You know what
we out here.
I think you know what's good about this? People don't. I feel like when you make movies and you put movies together, I feel like it gotta have the right characters, and I think that the character that Charlemagne playing is the guy that saved my life when I was 5 years old. Is my uncle. He lived next door to me in the project.
Is he light skin or brown skin?
Nah, he's the same color, Charlemagne.
Well, what color is that?
Come on, man. Look, see, they own you.
Like I'm not sitting right here. Like they don't got eyes.
Look, the thing about it is, you know, this person saved my life and got me to the hospital. He was the only person, you know, in our family that had a car. And if it was a minute later, I'd have been out of here because I got shocked through my feet. And I stepped on his card on the radio and it went through my hand. So, you know, it's a good role. Somebody that's dear to my life that I appreciate.
Well, I want to thank you, man. It's an honor and a privilege to be in the Master P biopic.
Oh, no, man. I'm telling you, like, to me, what the great thing about this movie, NWA, I mean, it's an amazing movie, and I feel like at the same time, you know, my story, I came right after them. If you go look in the history books, I came right after them, and I taught the world how to make money. NWA was probably some of the best artists in the game at the time, and those same guys from Jerry Heller to Brian Turner to Jimmy Iovine, I dealt with all of them, but it was a different way. I showed the game how to make money, and I told them, like, I'm going to open the doors so artists could make money and could be businessmen after this. So I feel like I taught the game how to be a businessman in this business. So, you know, and I dealt with all those people, but I dealt with them a different way, and you're going to see it in my movie.
What makes now the right time?
Well, you know, to be honest with you, I really wasn't. We've been prepared for this. You know, Romeo went to film school at USC. And, you know, Romeo, the executive producer of this movie, it's a $10 million movie. And, you know, I feel like the passion, and he was like, Dad, he went out for the TuPac movie, because TuPac movie was supposed to come out before this NWA movie. And I guess it never happened.
Right.
And Ron was like, Dad, we need to tell your story. We need it because of what you've been through and coming from the South, because, you know, at that time, the East Coast and the West Coast, you had to be from the East Coast to the West Coast. So it was a struggle for me. At the same time, it was a lot of prejudice, you know, in the South.
Right.
So, you know, blacks and whites, they was going against each other, but at the same time, I was able to overcome that. And that's what you're going to see in my movie, because even the business people in this movie that I talk about, that Brian Turner's and all those, they didn't think that a black guy could make that kind of money or deserve that kind of money.
Right.
And
it's interesting. I always wonder when people do biopics, autobiographies, how hard is it to be really honest about everything that
I'm honest about mine. You know, the NWA movie, I really didn't like Eazy-E character. I liked the movie, but I knew Eazy-E.
Okay,
I knew
so
Eazy-E was
what
a
was
street.
different about it?
He was a real street guy. I knew him.
I've seen a lot of people say that. A lot of people was like,
Yeah.
Eazy could go anywhere in LA.
Oh, man,
he
Eazy-
had a VIP pass by himself.
I know Eazy, so, you know, I know the truth. Like, all that stuff is not really how Eazy would have, you know.
Like what part? Because I mean, we're too. I'm not gonna say we're too young, but I really didn't know Eazy
They
personally.
said
so
Suge never put hands on Eazy in real
Man,
life.
come on, man. You couldn't do Eazy-E like that.
Right.
I know, not the Eazy I knew. I knew it was going to be repercussion.
Right.
So, you know, a lot of people changed their lives and grew up, but at the same time, I feel like the Eazy-E character wasn't all the way portrayed. This guy come from the streets. He the one made the money. He had everybody behind him. So that's what I didn't really feel like it was really portrayed.
Right, because the first time when we heard about NWA, we heard Eazy-E was kind of like the boss that made all the decisions. But in the movie, it made it seem like a collective type of thing. Like it was all, well, you want to do this, we want to do this. But growing up, it was always like, well, what Eazy-E said, Eazy-E got.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was the real way. And I think, you know, they did their thing. It was a great movie, but, you know, that's just my opinion. I don't want nobody to be like, oh, what P said. Nah, it's the truth, though, because I was out on the road. I started out with TuPac opening up for them. So I know a lot of that. You know what I'm saying? And so it's not like, but that's what I think about this movie. My movie going to be for real. You know, the struggle, the pain, and the success is like overcoming those barriers. I turned down $1 million with Jimmy IV. I only had $500 in my pocket. I had to go back to the project. Me and C on the plane arguing and fussing. We about to fight on the plane because C like, man, we take this $1 million and our whole life gonna change. I'm like, nah, man. They offered me $1 million, but it's the Michael Jordan deal. You know what I'm saying? I'm signing my life away, signing my name away, and I'm getting nothing. And in the end, it's $1 million, but what about if we sell a lot of records? And I figure like if I'm coming from the project, no insurance, no nothing, these people don't really know me. If they're gonna give me $1 million when I'm really worth, I told C I gotta be worth about 40.
Yeah, that's true.
That's how I felt. You know, even though I was broke, I was going, that's how the whole ice cream man thing started. I said, I'm going back to go make me some real money. So I only had $500 in my pocket when I turned down $1 million. And I think that's special about my story because I believed in myself. And I didn't just go for the money, which a lot of artists go for the money. You know, my grandfather always taught me things like, don't do nothing while you desperate. And I feel like that was a desperate time.
Well, let's go back to the NWA movie, because part of the NWA movie was Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
And when Snoop Dogg was on death row, you picked him up.
Yeah.
Now tell us about that time when you picking up, because at that time Suge Knight was huge and it could have been beef, but you decided to sign him and go that route. What made you sign Snoop Dogg, and was there any problems or any repercussions at all?
We don't have repercussions over here. We just do what we do. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I feel like I saved Snoop's life. He went through some things, and I feel like he was the best talent that I knew in the world. I feel like Snoop Dogg, I was always a fan of his. But when I talked to him, he wasn't in a good place. So, you know, Suge was about to sign him with some other label, and I'm like, man, my money don't spend. You know what I'm saying? Let me get that. Right. And so, you know, things happen. I mean, it's going to be in the movie. You'll be able to see it. But, you know, a couple things happened. When I first got to L.A., I got a call from Suge, probably like everybody, get that call. So I'm like, dawg, you do better talking to me in person. You know what I'm saying? So he's like, man, you know, L.A. ain't big enough for all of us. Puffy was out, a bunch of people. I said, well, I just bought a house. I ain't going nowhere. When you moving? You know what I'm saying? Right. So, you know, I mean, that's just how it is. And I respect everybody. I do a lot of foundation work in L.A. from Watts to South Central, and it's about, man, why we can't be there for each other, you know. And I never had problems with people. I just spoke my mind and kept it real with them.
Why did the West Coast embrace you? Because I remember you floated through Oakland, you floated through L.A.
Yeah, Richmond, that was my home, because, you know, I just left New Orleans. My first stop was Richmond, California. And I learned the hustle game of the music, and I opened up a record store, and that's going to be in the movie. I opened up a record store, so I learned it from the retail perspective. In Richmond, California, they just embraced me. And I was out there doing my thing, hustling. I went from New Orleans to Richmond, California, and I was able to go to Oakland. You know, a lot of people say, it was one group, they dropped the CD, they had a song called Ice Cream Man, it was the Loonies. So that was the one time I really had, like, you know, people like, man, you know, my song, I said, man, my album called Ice Cream Man. So whoever got a problem with that, y'all need to holler at me, because that's just me. That's how I live. I always been an ice cream man. You know, ice cream was something I liked when I was little, and I put that in my music because I was a hustler. I'm the only person that owned my company and made money and actually really owned it. So a lot of these guys, they had bosses. I didn't have no boss. It was me. I got out there and hustled for what I had, and I think that's what life is about. And, you know, I went through all that learning the business. I give a big shout out to the Bay. I learned the business, the hustle part of the business from the Bay, and owning my own record store. And so you're going to see that in the movie. My life changed. You know, I hooked up one guy in Richmond, California. I could have been dead. You know, I mean, they found this guy in the trunk of a car, shot like 120 times. I was supposed to go with him. And I'm like, you know, Romeo had got sick, so I'm like, say, dog, I can't go today. Let's go tomorrow. So he was like, yeah, big dog, we go tomorrow. But he went anyway. Yeah. You know, and so my life was a tough life, man, but it was a life that I knew that I was going to make it. Because when I was in, the movie's called The King of the South, because when I was 5 years old, I was in kindergarten. I ended up being the king of the school. And so the lady who was with me, Miss Irene, she said, "Bright eyes, you're gonna be a star." So I always use that. Miss Irene saying, "Bright eyes, you're gonna be a star." And as I moved on and started making and taking over the South, putting the music into the West Coast and the East Coast and the Midwest, where people start respecting us. In the Ice Cream Man, you know, I did a distribution deal with Priority with Brian Turner, which was an 80-20 deal, which was never done in the hip hop business, where an artist got 80% and a record company got 20%.
Right.
So that's the part of the groundbreaking history to where we made money. People, they thought I was probably going to sell like 10,000, 20,000 records, end up going gold at them type of numbers, 19 whatever dollars a CD or a cassette, and then them getting 20% of it. I mean, that was history.
How did you even finagle that deal to happen? Like,
well,
why?
Well, how I did it was I Michael Jackson lawyer. So, you know, I went to school. People don't know I went to school. I went to University of Houston. So I come from the hood, but I went to University of Houston to play basketball. And so business is what I studied over there. And so I just started researching. I went to the library. Who was the highest paid artist? And it was Michael Jackson. He was making 22%. So I said, I want to talk to his lawyer. So I called his lawyer. He said, "Man, you know, it's going to be $25,000 retainer to sit down and talk to me." So I said, "Man, $25,000. Hey. I had to go to the, you know. So I went there.
Is that gonna be in the movie?
It's gonna be in the movie. Okay. So I went there, brought him the money. He started telling me about
cash.
Yeah, he started telling me, "Yeah, man, you could get a distribution deal, and that'll be 80%, but you're gonna need $200,000 for marketing and promotion money." So I'm like, I was prepared. So when I went to Prod, I already knew. Right. They was like, "You got 200?" I said, "Yeah." I told my boy, "Go get it out in the car."
Go get it in the
So
car.
you had to bring the cash in?
But they was like, "Nah, we don't take that."
Oh, got you.
So, you know, it was like our life, like we come from the streets, man, and we changed our life. But like the time I didn't want to be there. Right. So I always knew that God had something else for my life. Right. And, you know, and when you see with Romeo, I start the movie off, I'm bumping Ice-T colors. I am a nightmare walking, psychopath talking. I got 2 guns on the side, and I got Romeo sitting in the other seat. And we in the hood in the project. And I could hear my grandmother saying, "Boy, turn that music down. You got that baby in the car with you." And I started thinking, like, man, I don't want to die. Like, because my goal was to live to be 19. Right. That was my goal. Damn. And I mean, you're an OG at 19 where I'm from. You know, if you survived that. Because at the time, my project in New Orleans was the murder capital of the world. And I'm the Calio projects. And so I start saying, I got to do something else. I don't want to die like this in here. So I packed up and went to California and started. I watched. I didn't even know about starting a record company. So first thing I hit was Richmond. When I hit Richmond, I seen this Jones and Harris record store. People was lined up. I'm like, what they selling? You know, people just lined up. So I got in there and seen they were selling music, selling records. So I'm like, man, I want to. But it was an older family, and they were selling a lot of older music. So when you get in business, you always look for a problem. And I say, man, I'm gonna put some hip hop. I'm gonna put something for young people. So I went up the street, maybe 2 miles up the block, and I asked this white guy, seen an old building. And that's why I never got into the color thing. It don't matter. You know, it was a white guy who helped me. So I seen this old abandoned building. I said, "Sir, how much it is to rent this building?" He said, "Son, if you could fix this building up, you could have this free rent for a year."
Wow.
And I'm like, man, I'm a country boy. Well, I'm about to go gut this place out. You know what I'm saying? And do what I do. I ended up living in the back of the stove till I got it together, and it ended up being, I went from making no money to $10,000 a month to $10,000 a day. Wow. In that stove. And that's when, you know, but what I was doing was I'll get music overnight. That's when FedEx and UPS was big. So, but the older people, they didn't know how to do that. By me going to college, I'm like, I'm going, whatever music you want, I'm going to get it for you the next day. So I got all the ballers outside, and I got a fixed up car. You know, I got my car on triple gold dating. So they like, whose store this is? I'm like 19, 20 years old. And I couldn't even go buy my music from the place. I had to tell them this is my daddy's store. You know, my dad away in New Orleans, but they didn't know that. And the white guy said, "Oh yeah, I talked to your dad last week." Okay, cool, man. Let me get that. And that's how I did. That's how I built my company. And
how was King of the South going to differ from Body Body?
Well, King of the South it goes like with my story gonna go is a trilogy like the Godfather. Like my story is a lot because I'm gonna go from the Ice Cream Man to TRU with me, C and Silk, and then the No Limit Empire, signing Snoop and all the stuff we went through that era, taking over the industry. So how it's different is this is a $10 million movie. It's a real movie, and hopefully, you know, the next phase of the distribution part of this, we could turn into a 20 or 30 million, how the NWA movie was. But, you know, we put our own money up for this, to do this movie, and we got some great actors in this movie.
Who's playing you?
We still looking for that person right now.
Come on, Romeo, man.
Nah, man. It's like Romeo gonna play one of my cousins or something. But we out searching for. We're doing a nationwide casting, and then you know my boy Ace B right here. He gonna play his cousin, which was my right hand guy that you know when we was out there living that life. Bruce, you know, he's not here right now, but you know he's gonna play him, and we looking for my right hand man by somebody to play him. So you know that's my boy since day one.